Della's Voice has been made possible by the generosity of sponsors like you. Della's Voice is brought to you by Tucker Bearden. What makes live shows so special is that interaction between the viewer and the host and the guest, whether it's through the chat or the live phone calls. This connection is created because people are allowed to share their experiences, their feelings, their thoughts, and this makes for a beautiful dynamic of energy that's connecting people in so many different ways. And that's how we learn. That's the best way we can help one another, is by connecting at such deep levels. This is Della Futui, the host of Della's Voice, hoping to spark your soul. Hello, and happy Easter if you celebrate Easter, and happy holidays to everybody else who's celebrating whatever holiday you're celebrating. This is the time of celebrations, it seems. And I'm so blessed to be here again on another Della's Voice Sunday live show to bring you another wonderful story. Today, again, we hear a miracle story of how someone's struggles became their strengths. Stay with me. We'll be right back. Della's Voice is brought to you by Tucker Bearden. At 8 years old, Tucker Bearden was diagnosed with Aspergers, and life became a struggle. One day he found his passion after watching a TED Talk and seeing the spark light up in people's eyes as they listened and leaned in close. A fire lit in his soul as he realized that this is what he wanted to do, to speak on stage and help improve lives with his story. After growing up deep in the sticks of Arkansas with a deadly fear of communication with others, he made his way onto stages around the country to show people that a diagnosis does not define who you are or what you are capable of achieving. On this journey, Tucker has endured much darkness. It made him realize that without your darkness, the light would hold no value. His challenges became his strength and gave him a story capable of improving lives. He believes there is no greater purpose in this world than service to others. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome on Della's Voice, Mr. Tucker Bearden.
Oh my God, that was amazing. Thank you so much.
It's such a delight to have you on the show, Tucker.
Thank you so much for having me. Oh my God, you had me in tears. That is the best introduction I've ever had.
Man,
Wow.
That says a lot because I know you've been on a lot of different platforms.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me here. It truly is a blessing. I've been looking forward to this. I was really excited about it. So thank you.
Me too. I've been looking for this, look forward to this for a long time, and I'm so glad we made it happen. And I want to make sure that we say thank you to Deborah Swayze for making this introduction. Thank you, Deborah.
Thank you, Deborah. You truly are awesome. Hit me up. I'll give you some more work.
Well, Tucker, I want to take a moment before we start the show to say hello and thank you to all the viewers who are watching this show live. We are looking forward to hearing from you in the live chat, and also at some point we'll open the phone lines so that you can actually call in the show if you like and speak to Tucker directly and ask questions and share your experiences. And this is what this is all about, Tucker. This show is all about bringing stories together, and so that we can hear from the stories of other people who have made it through their struggles, who have risen above adversities. And you know that at the end of the day, what we're looking for is to spread some hope, and that's all we want to do. And so my hope is that we can touch one person today, and that is the intention. And I know that you've been going around the country talking on so many different topics, and you are so passionate about so many different topics. And I just know that today's show is going to be filled with amazing wisdom, and you're going to leave people with some tools. And I can't wait for that to happen. So let's just get started, shall we?
Yes, I'm so excited.
Okay. All right. Okay. So here's the first thing I want to ask you is this. You were diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome when you were 8. How did life change as a result of that for you?
Well, at first it didn't, because I was too young to understand what that meant. It wasn't until I was in high school that I even realized what it was, and that was because I ended up getting a, a I had to do a report on a form of autism, and I drew Asperger's from the hat. And when I read it and I went and read the definition on it, like, my teacher was like, you're an Aspie, right? And I was like, well, it says that on paper, but I don't do these things. And she was like, yes, you do. I was like, wow, okay. So then it started being more apparent, and being more apparent for the longest time didn't mean much to me. It wasn't until I realized that I could make a shift that I started really studying it and digging into it. And at that point, it was just an aha moment after aha moment after aha moment of just realizing why it is I was doing the things I do, and how how everything actually works in the brain. It became, I found a purpose, um,
So
and then
for those people who don't know anything about Asperger's syndrome, again, I know that you're really versed on the topic, and you've done a lot of research of your own. You have a lot of information. Could you sum it up in a few sentences for people who don't know what Asperger's syndrome is? What is that
Okay.
exactly?
So I'll answer that in two statements. One, the easiest way to understand Asperger's is to watch The Big Bang Theory. Sheldon is a full blown Aspie. um, uh, and then the second statement would be Asperger's is a neurological abnormality that hinders one's natural abilities to understand certain social cues as well as emotional responses. It comes with many advantages and many challenges, but at the end of the day, that's really what it is. It's a social. It causes social problems.
Hmm. And so I can imagine as a kid growing up in Arkansas, uh, you had a lot of people who didn't understand it, and that created a little bit of an ordeal for you, right? I mean, could you tell us about that? Some of those struggles?
Um, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy.
Mm.
I'll tell you that. Uh, Making friends was impossible. There was nobody that I could resonate with. And I don't say that to say, oh, poor pitiful me. You know what I mean? It was just, that was the reality of my situation. Is like, I didn't understand people. Sarcasm still to this day usually goes over my head. And in turn, it causes a lot of problems. Like try getting a girlfriend and not being able to understand social cues. As a man, we're supposed to be able to read your mind to begin with.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, right. And and like like, can you imagine if your boyfriend or husband or significant other um did you didn't know when you were angry at them unless you told them? Like, I mean, I actually at one point walked around with a piece of paper that had different faces on it, different emotional expressions, and I would match them to people in an attempt to understand. Because here's the way that I can put you in the scenario so that you understand to a degree. Imagine if I dropped you in a country that you've never heard of before, and no one around you spoke English, and you didn't speak any of their languages, and you weren't a child that's going through the developmental stages of learning language. You're an adult, and I gave you no translator and told you figure it out. That is the equivalent of an Aspie in social situations, regardless of age. And that was what it was as a child. And as a child, I was not steeped in psychology as I am now, nor did I know of self-development or daily practices or any of the things that have allowed me to do the things that I do today. So it was a nightmare. It really was. At one point, the bullying was so bad that at one point these guys lured me out into the woods, poured gasoline all over me from head to toe, and chased me through the woods with Roman candles, screaming, "You're gonna burn, retard!"
Oh,
Like at my first, or not first, but like I had a job where I was bagging groceries, and like all the customers started like coming in at once, and I had a panic attack. And while I fell to the floor and I was in fetal position, and the only thing I could hear over my own heartbeat in that moment was the sound of the woman I'd been bagging groceries for screaming, "Why would y'all hire a retard? What is wrong with you people?"
oh man.
So that's the world that I grew up in.
Mhm.
And understanding Asperger's for what it is, and not only understanding it but embracing its gifts, which are many. uh, I, it changed everything because it gave me freedom. It was like, some people switch chains of iron for chains of gold. I got rid of the chains altogether.
That's a really good way of putting it. What are some of the gifts?
um, they're gonna sound arrogant, but it's the only way to be blunt. um, we mentally process at much higher levels than most. Like Elon Musk has Asperger's.
No
If that
way.
gives you, yeah, he's a full blown Aspie. Einstein was an Aspie. Nikola Tesla was an Aspie. Benjamin Franklin was an Aspie. Like these are, they didn't know it back then,
Mhm.
but we know it now.
Mhm.
um, and it it gives us the ability to look at things and in a way that most people can't. And I know that seems like a cop out answer, but imagine moving through life and having access to this void, that this white void that you can go to at any time. And in this void, you can create, you can destroy, you can test, you can see real world simulations in real time, and try things and take things apart and if they work in the void, they work in real life. This is why most Aspies are engineers. I personally, I'm an engineer of words. On stage, I paint with words, whereas Picasso painted with a brush, and Elon paints the sky. You see what I'm saying? Like it's that's if that does that answer your question
Well,
properly?
yeah, yes, it does. And I kind of, well, I knew that about Asperger's syndrome. It's highly intelligent, and I can see how this would be misunderstood by other people, right? Um, but I think that as you go around the country, talk about it. And I mean, Elon Musk, you said Elon Musk, that's a big shocker to me, but I'm not really. But I mean, the fact that he goes around talking about it, um, this will open up our eyes to these differences as being gifts, like you said. And I think that's really, really important to look at each other and really pick up on those unique talents as and differences as gifts. I think this is such a great way of bringing awareness to this. So thank you so much for talking about that.
You're very welcome. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about it. Hopefully today we touch a few lives and help some people.
Absolutely. And but as a result of growing up with this, obviously, you you went through a lot of anxiety. And I know that is one thing that you really, really are passionate about talking and bringing awareness to is, and you have a really unique way of painting with words, like you said. And how do you describe anxiety? I want to hear. I want everybody else to hear that because I already heard it. So, how do you describe anxiety?
Anxiety is the fear that one of a pair of opposites will cancel the other out forever. And once you realize that's not true, you begin to see through the game. Anxiety isn't real. It's a fallacy that our mind creates. Fear is false evidence appearing real.
Yes.
Anxiety is whenever someone focuses on the future, a potential future that probably will never happen. Depression is when somebody focuses on the past, and peace is when someone focuses on the moment. So, anxiety is being outside of the present. It's giving power to something that has no power. I used to suffer from anxiety that was so bad I couldn't even shop for my own clothes. I couldn't go to a grocery store and buy food. I went to the store the other day and bought this shirt on my own. Like, that's massive for me.
Mm.
For most people, they go to the store, they buy their groceries, and it's just another day at the store. For an Aspie, it's a journey that's worth talking about. And anxiety is that unrealistic fear that one of a pair of opposites will cancel the other out forever.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question?
I love the way you explained that. You also talk about nuclear seeds. Do you want to go there?
Yes. Yeah. So a nuclear seed is a seed that is planted in the subconscious mind by an environment, a person saying something, an event that happens in your life, something that at the time you don't notice. So if I say something in conversation today and it just like at the end of the day, you're not thinking about it. It doesn't mean anything to you. But then all of a sudden, 3 years from now, something happens, and all of a sudden, and then boom, it blows up, and you realize aha, this is what it meant. That's a nuclear seed. And in anxiety, when you're suffering from anxiety, you've got the wrong kind of seeds planted in your garden. They are nuclear, and they are thermonuclear. So when a trigger happens, something that an outside stimuli or inside stimuli, because it's realistically where they come from.
Can you give us an
Something triggers that
example?
seed, all of a sudden it blows up. Going to the mall. All right. For a lot of Aspies, for example, are there, it's very, very hard to be in a large space, like one that has walls far away from one another. It's a crazy fear, but there's that. And then it's even harder for somebody who suffers from social anxiety to be in a space where there's a lot of people. Okay. And now this can happen for a multitude of reasons, but all of those reasons are nuclear seeds that have been planted at some point in the garden of our mind. And so when I was walking through the mall, one of my seeds was I was bullied very badly. So in turn, I felt that everyone around me was in some way judging me under their breath. In their mind, they're thinking about how ugly I am, or how stupid I look, or just the things that I was consistently told when I was younger. And it's like a stain on the subconscious. But these seeds that were underground, hidden, I'm not consciously looking at it, all of a sudden, boom, sprouts into this big bomb that just blows up and causes panic attacks, depression, like it floods your system with cortisol, which is a stress hormone that completely shuts down your immune system, causes you to be you get sicker easier. This is why people that watch the news all the time are sick most of the time, because they're consistently dripping cortisol in their blood. Does that answer it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that a good example?
Yes, yes, I love how you explained that. And I see that too. I mean, I think all of us have those seeds, allow those seeds to really root in our subconscious mind. We for so many different reasons. I mean, childhood experiences, traumas, um, and so yes, and so we let that stay in our subconscious mind, and then something happens, we hear something, or I might be walking down the street in my neighborhood, and I say hello to someone and they don't say hello back, and there's all these stories that I make up in my mind of why they didn't say hello back, right? And so that it all, of course, it all
There you
goes
go.
back to those seeds, those beliefs, right? That's what
Mm-hmm.
you're saying.
That's exactly right. It's a loop. You create loops in the subconscious mind when you do that. And you can, and here's a take home for everybody that's taking notes. If you notice yourself contemplating any of these three terms, stop yourself. Shoulda, coulda, or woulda. Those three are loop. They begin the loop in your mind. When you go to a memory, or you're in a scenario and you say, "Well, I should have done this," or "I could have said that," or "I would have done this if they would have said that." Like, and then you let that loop gets to going, and now you're in your mind sitting in your car arguing with your boyfriend or her
Yes.
girlfriend. She ain't even there, talking about who you think you are talking to me like that. Oh man, you don't even know who I am. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just got yourself all worked up, and that's exactly what we do. That's what anxiety is.
That
It's
is
the exact same thing,
that is
and you got to
true.
learn to break that loop.
Yeah. Yeah,
Let your
because
ego go. Ain't no one there to hear the conversation. You ain't doing nothing but drinking poison and hoping it kills the enemy.
yes,
So let it go.
you're so right. That's
Chew on
funny
some charcoal if you need to.
because, I catch myself too sometimes, I'll the loop. Oh my gosh, it's so amazing. And then I really have to tell myself, Della, none of this is happening right now. Yeah.
Yeah, and dude, a great thing that everybody can resonate with is road rage. Road rage is the number one loop, in my opinion. It's the number one loop on the planet that people suffer from.
Mm-hmm.
Because hey, you ever notice that you get mad behind the wheel, somebody does something stupid, you start yelling at them, they can't hear you, you start going off, now all of a sudden you're arguing with the kids, yeah, then you get home and you kick the cat, Zig Ziglar. All right, because you get to arguing, it becomes a domino effect, and
Mm-hmm.
all you had to do was go and break it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So that's the thing, right? That how do you go? How do you do that? How do we do that?
Well, it takes practice. All right. It's kind of like in Buddhism they say enlightenment can take 30 years, or it can take 30 seconds, or it can take a moment. You know, it's almost like quitting smoking cigarettes, because there are autonomic responses in the brain that happen due to our reticular activating system, like when it notices something that in the past has created a negative stimuli, and dripped cortisol. When your RAS system, when your RAS notices that stimuli, cortisol is addicting. It's a drug, and your brain flips into that. Well, you have to, just like when you quit smoking cigarettes. I tell people, if they want to quit smoking, wear a white T-shirt. Every time you smoke a cigarette, put that white T-shirt on and blow the smoke through it, and then eventually you'll quit putting it on. And it's the same thing. When
Why
you
does that
catch
happen?
yourself,
Why does that happen?
because you cause disgust on a subconscious level. And that is the key to stopping anything in your life. An alcoholic will not put down a bottle until he's broken somebody or himself in a way that disgusts him so much he gives up. You will never overcome anxiety until you are so disgusted with how it rips your life apart that you're willing to nut up and do something about it. You will never give up drugs until it disgusts you so much that you have to change. And that's like, I've helped a lot of people quit smoking. I used to smoke 2.5 packs of cigarettes a day, cowboy killers. Okay. And I was a cowboy. So I was going to die and I had to quit. And you put on that white T-shirt, blow the smoke through it. It'll turn the T-shirt yellow. Eventually you make a habit out of putting that T-shirt on, and eventually that T-shirt will be so disgusting you won't even be able to touch it. You won't even be able to have it in the room. And in your mind, that will plant a nuclear seed that tells you that's inside my body. That's what I'm doing to myself. My teeth, everything, like I'm destroying myself, just like I did that shirt.
Oh.
And it causes that response. So how people stop the loop is, first of all, realize there's a loop. All right. And recognize them. And stop blaming the world. If the world outside you is often against you, it's not because of the world, it's because you're against the world. And if you want to change the way that you see things, if you want to change what you see in front of you, change the way you look at them, and the things in front of you will begin to change. Mm-hmm. Everything that causes these loops to happen are personal. It's impossible for someone to create a loop for you. It is impossible for someone to put you in a loop. You have to choose to feel. And this sounds crazy. And when I tell this to parents who have kids with anxiety, oh Lord, it's like throwing fire on a cross. You choose anxiety. You choose depression. Okay? You choose to be mad behind the wheel when someone cuts out in front of you. What do you know? That person's mama might have just died. They're having the worst day of their life, and they're on their way to a funeral. And all they did was accidentally forget their blinker, and now all of a sudden they're a worthless piece of crap that you hope an airplane falls out of the sky and lands on.
Oh my gosh.
Because they're on your highway. Mm-hmm. You did that. I'm not saying you as in you. I'm saying in general, people. Mm-hmm. And that's what we do. We create these loops, and then we allow them to solidify themselves, and in turn, we kick the cat. Zig Ziglar said it best. Don't kick anybody. Don't cause somebody to kick the cat. Whenever you go to work and you had somebody did something stupid on the way to work and it put you in a bad mood, all of a sudden you yell at the person that works for you. They go home, they yell at their wife or their husband yells at the kids, and the kids get mad and kick the cat.
Yeah.
That poor little kitty didn't even do nothing, but you did that.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? And we make that conscious choice every single day in every single moment. And you can choose one or two paths. You can choose the path of self-destruction, which often seems like the right way to go right now, because, you got to tell them who they are. You got to tell them about themselves, right? Even if they ain't there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You
And
know who is there?
Up.
Who is there is your family, who's sitting in the car with you, having to hear you yell and curse, and it's so true. They can't hear you.
Yep, and you make it. You're right, but you're there.
I'm there. So I take that in,
and that memory's there.
Mm-hmm. And so you, as a driver, you think that you're yelling and at that whoever that forgot their blinker, you start yelling and cursing in the car. Meanwhile, your other half is sitting next to you, and your kids are in the back seat. Everybody's quiet because they're so afraid to say anything because you're yelling. And now what's going to happen? It's so true. It's such a loop. Oh my gosh. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And when you wake up, you'll cry tears of joy.
Yes, true.
You really will.
That's true. And so for some people, that's called their turning point or their moment of awakening or whatever that is. But you're right. You have to be disgusted with what is happening in your life. You have to have had it in order for you to change. So
yeah, have you ever heard the story of the monk and the water?
Tell us, remind us of that.
Have you heard the story of? I'll take 10 seconds. I'll take 20 seconds.
Tell me.
A young man. Okay, so a young man went to this man who was a master of making money. Okay, he was an entrepreneur and he was a monk, ironically. And the man said, "Please tell me your secrets. Tell me how do I do this? How do I succeed?" And the monk told him. He said, "Meet me at the shore. Meet me at the ocean at 6:00 in the morning." So he was like, "Okay." So he puts on his nicest suit. He gets all freshed up. He goes down to the ocean at 5:30. He's there early. All right. And then the man walks out into the water up to his knees and he said, "Come with me." And the man was like, "Oh, Lord, I'm in a suit." So he's already going, "Okay, what's going on here?" So he walks out into the water, and then the man takes him out into the water up to his neck. And the guy is like thinking this dude's crazy. All right. And then the monk grabs him and shoves his head underwater until he panics and then snatches him out of the water. And when he snatches him out of the water, he said, "What did you want to do?" And the guy goes, "Ah!" So he shoves him back under the water and he pulls him back up. And he said, "What did you want to do?" And the guy said, "I want to breathe." And then he walked him out of the water. The moral of the story is you will not succeed. You will not get out of your own head. You will not get out of your own way until you want it as bad as you want to breathe. And that's as real as it gets. You got to be disgusted with who you are, your situation, what you're doing, how you treat people, how your world looks around you, until you are disgusted and you admit that you're the problem. It's not everybody else. Because if you're constantly having issues with people, you are the problem. You have to understand that. And when you do, you wake up and everything changes.
Everything changes. Yes. There is a question here about Asperger's syndrome, and I wanted to read that to you, see if you can put in your input. How can someone with Asperger's syndrome live the best life possible, according to you?
To live your life on your terms. You were born, if you were born an Aspie like myself. Like, everybody has their challenges. We're no different than anybody else. Okay? But regardless of whether you're an Aspie or anything else, the answer is still the same. And that is to own it and live your life on your terms. Because if you allow a diagnosis to define you, you will give it the power to control your life. If you allow other people's opinions of you to label or to tell you who you are, you will never get to live. You will only survive. I survived for years before I got to live. And I only got to live because I made the choice that, by God, I'm taking control. This is my life. Ain't no psychiatrist with a bunch of medication going to tell me who I am, where I need to be, or what I'm going to do in this world. By God, it's mine. And when you finally get fed up enough to say that and mean it, you will live your best life. Embrace it. It's not going to be easy. If you're an Aspie and you haven't made it to the level that I have socially, you know what it's like. You know what I mean whenever I say that just going to Walmart trying to shop for groceries can put you in the hospital. That where people take for granted being able to have a conversation with their family. I remember the first time I got a vehicle and my Aunt Teresa, she gave me the keys and I had absolutely no way or conscious ability to show her any emotion. I was so excited I wanted to scream, but I didn't know how to show her. And she cried right in front of me and said, "I thought you would be happy." And I said, "Mama, I don't know how to show you I am." But when you get fed up with that, and you get tired of that, and you start consciously taking action towards changing, it will change. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to happen overnight. You're not going to wake up one day and just be able to, or well, eventually you will be able to, but it's not going to happen in just one night. You wake up and then all of a sudden everything is okay.
Yeah.
Like, go out, put yourself in the situations that make you uncomfortable. Go to Walmart like me. That's what I did. I went to Walmart over and over and over again, and I made conversations with random people. Like, I would start by complimenting them. I would be like, "Oh my God, bro, that is a bad shirt." Like, "Wow, dude, where did you get that?" You know what I mean? Like, little things like that, or compliment someone's shoes, or ask somebody for directions to somewhere I already know how to get to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, little things like that. Go to the dollar store, buy gifts, and walk around giving out gifts to people and say, "Hey, I'd like to give you this gift, but in turn, I want you to share some wisdom with me." That's what I did. I went and bought pizzas. I got pizzas. I was making $175 a week. I worked 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. I went and took $50 out of each check. I went to Little Caesars and I bought as many pizzas as I could each day. And if you're wondering, it's 7.
Not anymore.
I stacked them up on my little bicycle. Yeah, I stacked them up on my little bicycle with a bungee cord, and I went around town and I gave out pizzas to homeless people. And I sat down beside them. I ate a meal with them, and I said, "Tell me your story, brother. Share some wisdom with me." And
amazing.
That's what you got to do. There ain't no quick fix to this.
Mm-hmm.
There ain't no get good quick scheme. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got to wake up.
Yeah.
Wake up. That's it. Like, and it takes time.
Yeah. Tucker, we're going to take a short break, and we're going to be right back because I want you to start sharing the tools that you have for grounding with people. So
absolutely.
All right, we're going to take a minute and a half. Okay, we'll be right back. Della's Voice is brought to you by Tucker Bearden. At 8 years old, Tucker Bearden was diagnosed with Aspergers, and life became a struggle. One day he found his passion after watching a TED Talk and seeing the spark light up in people's eyes as they listened and leaned in close. A fire lit in his soul as he realized that this is what he wanted to do, to speak on stage and help improve lives with his story. After growing up deep in the sticks of Arkansas with a deadly fear of communication with others, he made his way onto stages around the country to show people that a diagnosis does not define who you are or what you are capable of achieving. On this journey, Tucker has endured much darkness. It made him realize that without your darkness, the light would hold no value. His challenges became his strength and gave him a story capable of improving lives. He believes there is no greater purpose in this world than service to others. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome on Della's voice, Mr. Tucker Bearden. And we're back with
I can't get over that. It gets me every time.
I'm so happy you like it. I'm glad you like it.
I'm going to use that. You don't even understand. I'm going to download this, and I'm going to use that when I speak on stages around the world. That's going to be a video that they play before I come.
It'll be my pleasure. I'm gonna send it to you. How's that? I'll send it to you.
Thank you so much.
No problem. It's my pleasure. I want to thank you for sponsoring Della's Voice today, Tucker.
My pleasure.
All right. So we are moving on, and you are going to talk about grounding, as you believe in that and you talk about it all the time, and you really feel strongly about that. So tell us why grounding is such a powerful tool, and what is that anyway?
Okay.
What is
so grounding is it's also known as earthing, and it's the act of touching the earth. So this used to be woo-woo science. Okay. Mm-hmm. This used to be something that people only like hippies did, like tree huggers and things like that, or what they called them. And it wasn't until the past like 10 or 13 years where the actual science behind it has come forward. And like, for instance, this is a grounding wire. I wear it anytime I'm in the house and I'm sitting down, I wear it, especially if I'm working with electronics, I wear it. What this does is it floods the body with negatively charged ions, which interact with our immune receptors. Okay. It causes our blood to thin out, and which will literally get rid of blood clots, heart problems, headaches, anxiety, depression, sleep issues, asthma. Any ailment that a human body has, even if you have a wound that needs to be healed, it will cause your body to heal it at a rate that you may believe is impossible. For instance, I fractured my toe really bad. Like my whole toe was black and purple 2 weeks ago. Okay. I sleep grounded, and I ground during the day out by walking barefoot outside. And within 4 or 5 days, my toe was completely healed from a fracture. And everyone has the ability to do this. It sounds crazy, but the science behind it is this. The earth gets struck by lightning over 20,000 times a day. This causes the earth to have its own electromagnetic field. We are electromagnetic physical beings. Okay. So our bodies and brains function off of electromagnetic fields. All right. And when you tell your hand to go up, your brain sends a bolt of lightning across the brain and tells your arm to move. Everything we do is electrical. All right. When you ground yourself out, okay, those negatively charged ions flood through your body and block out all of the EMFs that our computers, our phones, and things of that nature give off. These things are dangerous, and the science has proved it. Women that get breast cancer, 9 times out of 10, if you look at the breast, the actual cancer itself, it's the shape of a cell phone because they put it in their bra.
What?
If you look at the cancer, it. Yes, women that they put it in their bra. Men who put their phones in their front pocket have lower sperm count, and men that put phones in their back pocket are highly susceptible to colon cancer. And this is uh yeah, it sounds crazy. It really does. But the signals that these things give off can be measured with devices that measure electromagnetic fields, and you can see. Well, they have, when you get one of these devices, they give you a green, which is safe, and a red, which is extremely dangerous. As soon as you lay a finger on your phone, if you're holding one of those devices, your phone can be sitting all the way over there. Lay one finger on it and it flies to the red. If you plug it in, it's 1,000 times worse. You should never, ever, ever touch a cell phone that's plugged in. Ever. Ever. You should not sleep with them in your room. You should not sleep with Wi-Fi turned on. And this stuff sounds insane. It sounds like I'm trying to convince you that fish fly or something, you know what I mean? Or pigs fly, you know, it sounds crazy, but the science is actually there. You can, like, we went through the house testing different electromagnetic fields in different places, and we came to find out it's not even safe for your health to touch a extension cord that is plugged into the wall and not plugged into something else. Just touching the plastic on the outside of the cord sends your body into the yellow, which is almost red. And if you squeeze it, it sends your body into the red. This is called dirty electricity. And it's a disconnect from the earth. We walk around with rubber shoes, not leather anymore. People don't walk around barefoot. And in turn, people are disconnected from the very thing that charges our body and heals us. You ever heard people say, well, that boy walk around, country folks, they walk around barefoot, they never get sick. It's true. Because we can't. It's your body doesn't get sick when you're grounding. It just doesn't happen. And it heals itself. Like, if I'd actually told you what all that it heals, people would probably try to come after me saying that I'm making like outlandish claims.
Yeah, because we can't
You know what
really
I'm saying?
talk about stuff like that, right? I know it's real bad for
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
yeah, I get
yeah,
it. I
it
get
is. This right here, this one item right here, you can get these for like $20 on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
You can get multiple of them. In fact, I'm gonna drop links here soon to a buddy of mine that sells grounding stuff. He sells everything from things you can sit on that ground you while you're at your computer mats, so that you're grounded while you're working on that. Entire mattresses, sheets, pillows, the whole 9 yards, things that completely ground you, which block out all of the bad signals that are terrible for our health. And that's what this is, like I said. And this right here will replace every medication for anxiety, depression, any kind of ailments. This helps with Alzheimer's. I mean, there's nothing that you don't need to go to a doctor and take a pill for anything other than maybe Viagra.
So we have to here make a disclaimer right here, because I don't want to be kicked out of Facebook. We do not give any medical advice. So the opinions given here on this show are those given by the guest. So please make sure that you do the right thing for you. You make the right decision for you. But Tucker, you were going to show us something. There was a couple of pictures that you have sent me that you wanted me to display. What are those all about?
Okay, so the first one is the chart that I sent you. This is a cortisol chart where this study was actually done. And if you could pull it up on the screen, here we go. So
Hang
this was an
on.
8-week study done on people that were sleeping, 12 men and women. On the left, you can see their cortisol levels. And before we go into this, cortisol, like I said earlier, cortisol is the stress hormone. This is this is that thing that releases into your blood when you're angry that makes you stupid. It's what makes you bad at doing things when you're aggravated. It's what makes you say things that you don't mean whenever you're angry. Things like that. It completely shuts down your immune system and it will destroy your health over time. So on the left, this is before they started grounding, before these people started sleeping with a grounding wire. This was what they were during the day. On the right, this is 24 hours, the 24-hour cortisol chart of just one day. One day, they started grounding, and within one day, this was their levels, and they were tested every day over 2 months, and these levels continued to drop. So 11 out of 12 felt sleep faster. 5 out of 6 women got less PMS and hot flashes. 9 out of 12 were more refreshed and more energized. 9 out of 12 said they had less emotional stress, anxiety, depression, and irritability. And one of the things that this also does is it removes inflammation from the body. Okay, inflammation is what causes backaches. This is what causes you to not be able to sleep at night. Inflammation is the cause of almost every ailment that we have. Like, for instance, I had debilitating arthritis for years. My back was fractured in multiple places. I had arthritis that was so bad that when you x-rayed my spine, it glowed white. Now, people say, oh, bone's white. Yes, but when you have arthritis, it glows. My entire spine glowed white. After 2 months, after 2 weeks of grounding, I felt no pain. After 2 months, my arthritis was healed. It doesn't show up on x-rays anymore. It's gone completely.
And
And
this is just
I had a doctor tell me, you have a spine like an 80-year-old man.
hmm. And so this is when
This
you
is what?
talk about grounding and earthing, this is just by walking barefoot. You can accomplish that
Mhm.
for
Walking
how
barefoot or touching a grounding wire. And this
Mhm.
is connected to the inlet. So there's 3 holes on where you plug things in. There's the 2 for electricity, and then there's the little hole. That is your ground. That's where this is plugged into.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay, so
What was the
there's
question?
this yeah, there no, that you answered the question. Oh, yeah, so I was gonna ask you, um, so for I mean, I've heard a lot about, just natural grounding. People walking around barefoot, like, they go into forests and they spend hours, I don't hours, minutes, I don't know how long, barefoot, just, you know, taking in whatever it is we take in. I'm not really versed in this, but there's this energy that we that can connect from the ground into our body through the bottom of our feet, and so a lot of people swear by
Mm-hmm.
this. I mean, I've I know I know people who do that every single day. So, like, what? How many minutes? What would you say is a good amount if someone wants to just benefit from this and they just say, "Ah, what the heck? I'm just gonna try it." For how long?
Okay. So it depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for real change, I advise sleeping with a grounding wire or sleeping on the dirt, because that's we used to sleep on the dirt, and no people, there was no such thing as cancer. People didn't get sick. It wasn't a thing. Okay. So if you want to do this and you don't have a grounding wire, or 25, $30 to get one, okay, uh, get barefoot and walk around outside for 20, 30 minutes I mean, if you really want to get some results and don't have a grounding wire, an hour a day, every day. But at minimum, bare bones minimum, 30 minutes. For instance, my friend's daughter, she has a knee brace and she's in a lot of pain. and due to inflammation. I let her sit down. Within 2 minutes, her pain was gone. Within 20 minutes, she took the knee brace off and walked with no pain. There was a man that was in a wheelchair for 20 years, paralyzed from the waist down. He was given a grounding wire, and he was slept grounded for 8 hours a night for 30 days. After 30 days, he got up out of that wheelchair and he walked. He needed a walker to help him, but he walked. His legs worked. It is like working miracles.
Wow, these are big claims,
Yeah.
Tucker. So for people
And
who
they're
wanted,
backed up. Like I don't.
mm-hmm. And so I do suggest that if someone's listening to this and they're curious, to reach out to Tucker. And I'm going to display your email address and reach out and get the information you need. I mean, we're discovering things
It's
every day.
best to reach out to me through Facebook. It's better to reach out to me through Facebook or my number. If you email me, there is a high probability I will not see it due to how many emails that I get.
Well, that's not convenient.
But if you reach out to me on Facebook, all you gotta do is it's not convenient. But it unfortunately that's I can't lie and say it because I go through my emails and I see emails that I have missed all the time because I can't keep up with all of them.
All right. Well, find Tucker on Facebook. There's only one of you. I get it. So find Tucker at.
There really is. Google me.
Tucker Bearden. Find him on Facebook and ask him questions. Okay. So there's another picture that you sent me, and here it is. What is this all about?
So this is after 20 minutes of being grounded. This is an infrared picture showing blood flow. So this was blood flow to the face. This person sat down with a grounding wire. Within a minute, there was visual effects. Within 20 minutes, you see what you see here. Now, where it is blue, there is no blood flow. There's no, where it is red, there is immense blood flow. And this happens due to the fact that when you release negatively charged ions into the body, it thins the blood. If I had the video with me, I would have sent it to you, but I couldn't really, I couldn't pull it out of the large clip that it was in. It shows someone's blood flowing, and then they touched a grounding wire, and instantaneously it looked like somebody turned on a water hose. Their blood was rushing through their system, and this happens. This happens as soon as you touch a grounding wire, and the longer you touch it, the more this helps. This right here. In short, anyone that knows what they're looking at can tell you that this means this will take away migraines, headaches. You're going to sleep better, and if you have heart conditions, they'll go away. If you have issues with high blood pressure, it is impossible for your body to suffer from high blood pressure while grounded.
Wow, that's intriguing, for sure. And so, people, if you're watching this and you're intrigued at all, you're curious and you want to see if this really helps you, reach out to Tucker and, do some research and see where that takes you. I mean, we're discovering things all the time. Go to YouTube, you said? Go to YouTube, Professor YouTube?
Yeah, YouTube and Google. There are no, the coolest part about this, is there aren't two sides to the story. There's no professional doctor or anyone out there that's actively saying, no, this doesn't work. It is a universal understanding. So when you go on Google and YouTube, you're not going to find controversy. You're going to find alignment.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying there's a lot of information on this, so people can go and look. Okay. I do have.
Oh, yes. You can.
I do have a question from someone here that says, what do you mean by saying anxiety is a cop out?
Oh, yeah, that's a deep question. So, this, how do I answer that in a simple term? So, anxiety in itself, when someone says, I suffer from anxiety, that is a cop out because you don't suffer from anxiety. Anxiety is a result of you causing suffering. Yeah, anxiety is happens because of what you decided to do, whether it be mentally, physically, or subconsciously. And people say, well, subconscious isn't conscious. No, but it's definitely programmed consciously. So, so when someone has is experiencing social anxiety, you can't tell that person in the moment, this is your fault. First of all, everybody around them is going to make you out to be the bad guy. Second of all, they're not going to believe you. They're going to they're going to take the victim role. It happens every time. But if you wait till they're calm and you sit down with them and they're actually looking for change, they're actually looking for results, and you sit down with them and you ask them, okay, what were you feeling? All right. Well, what happened right before you felt that? What were you doing before that? And you go through this, what you'll find is that some form of thought that they chose to have, okay, caused them to respond physically to outside stimuli. Because and the evidence to this is in this. If a person is playing on their phone and they're really engaged in the conversation on their phone and something happens in front of them or behind them or around them, and does it mean anything to them at all, or do they even notice it? They don't, right?
No, they
They don't
don't.
notice it because you're engaged in what you're doing. It's like, no, not at all. It's kind of like when you're watching TV or you're engaged in a good book and someone says, Dilla, Dilla, Dilla.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, I'm sorry, I was elsewhere. That's
Yeah.
proof, right in air. That's proof that anxiety is a cop out, and that the responses we have are due to choice, because the exact same thing that caused you to feel anxious could have happened in front of you, and if your attention was elsewhere, you would not have felt anxious. It didn't cause you to feel anxious. You did. Does that answer your question?
I I think so. So basically what you're saying is that we make that a crutch, like we use anxiety as an excuse for for how we react. Correct?
It's a way for them to sell you medication. Like,
Mhm.
really, let's be honest. Let's call it let's call a cow a cow. All right. The man, for crying out loud, the man who coined the term attention deficit disorder on his deathbed said that it was all a hoax. There's no such thing. It was to help sell medication. Like, anxiety in itself is a term to describe a result caused by you. Anxiety doesn't cause itself to happen. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. It's like if I asked you to go get me a bag of anxiety. You can't.
You couldn't do it.
No, you couldn't do it.
You can't do it because
No.
it's not real. There's nothing to grab.
Mhm.
It's a fallacy that we create in our mind, and because our brain's a computer, okay? It's gonna do what you program it to. And unfortunately, as a child, we go through many things that cause really, really bad programs. And we didn't choose for that to happen as a kid. We didn't choose for that to be there. I didn't choose to be doused in gasoline and chased through the woods. I didn't choose to be beaten. Like, it wasn't, you know what I mean? Like, we didn't choose these things. But once you wake up and you're looking for an answer, at that point, it's on you. But prior to that, hey, look, you didn't know. What you gonna do about what you don't know, right?
Yeah.
But anxiety in itself is a label. Anxiety describes a result of a subconscious program being triggered. It is not a program.
It is not a program.
Does that
Same.
make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. And you're right. I mean, we give ourselves permission to react a certain way or to feel a certain way, because we keep saying, I have anxiety, or I have depression, or I'm stressed, or it's the same thing. I think too with stress, it's the same thing. If I asked you to go get me a bag of stress, you couldn't get me a bag of stress. I kind of bring that upon myself, with my beliefs and the
Hmm.
thought patterns that I have. And you're right. And nothing can be done about it until we actually do wake up and say, okay, I need time for a change. And I know, because I've lived that
That's very true.
myself, and I've had that experience of, you know, depression and all those labels that I gave myself, depression, anxiety, and it caused me to have an addiction problem. And until I was disgusted, uh, I got hit by a 2-4, and then I decided that I was going to change my life. And so that's the only way. That is the only way.
Whoa, 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 you got hit by a 2x4?
Yes.
You got hit by a 2x4?
Yes.
Oh Lord. What- Ah,
Not
I,
lit
I
not
get.
literally,
I'm
Tuck
sorry that happened.
not literally, Tucker.
Oh, oh, I'm an Aspie, and we take everything literal. Okay, I was in my mind. I was like, "Your face is so pretty. I don't even. How did you recover from that?" I did.
I'm glad we cleared that out.
uh, it- yeah, and you know what's wild? You know what's wild about all this is anxiety is not just a result of a subconscious program. The saddest part about all this is that anxiety is promoted in America and in our world. The news without anxiety wouldn't make a dollar. They literally promote cortisol on a daily basis. So there's constant consumption of not only negative stimuli, but negative fuel. Your body's a temple, and the computer can only function as well as it's fueled, or the machine can only function as well as it's fueled. Okay, and and we eat horrible foods. You have kids that drink energy drinks, and then the doctor says you have ADHD, but never once asked them, what's your daily routine? What do you do in the first 20 minutes of waking up, and what do you eat?
Oh, so
Like kids that eat fast food, like fried foods,
yeah.
suffer from depression. That drink sodas, they suffer from depression. And it's their temple, it's their body telling them, hey, stupid, stop. Like it will tell you what it doesn't want and what it needs if you listen to it.
Yes.
But instead of listening to it, we label its messages as disabilities and disorders and ailments instead, and don't and keep doing what we're doing. And it's nobody's. In the past it was no one's fault because no one knew, but now we know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go
and
ahead,
and
I'm sorry.
we keep, yes, and we keep pumping drugs and medication into our bodies, which make things more complicated. And so yeah, we do that. And so I think with time too, and a little bit of knowledge, and a little bit of studying on your own and researching, you realize that really your body can heal itself from a lot of different ailments. And so just, you're right, giving it a chance, not considering what we're putting in our bodies. And I think we are becoming more aware of that, Tucker, today than ever. The things that we eat, I mean, people always said, "You are what you eat." It's so true. We are what we eat. The things we put in our bodies, and um, we don't even think uh, twice about it. And so I am with you on this, that our bodies have a natural ability to heal themselves if we let them, if we provide the right environment, which is feeding ourselves good food, nourishing food. So how do you how are you doing it, Tucker? What are you doing these days to nourish yourself and to feed yourself those better foods?
Well, it all at first it starts with research. I'll tell you this: most people don't believe me, and I don't care, but it's true. Our body is not designed to consume meat. It we should like. I personally, I eat chicken. I love chicken. It's still my weakness. I can't help it. All right, pollo grande. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, uh, but at the end of the day, um, do what your body tells you. First of all, start researching what things do to your body, and then subconsciously you will plant nuclear seeds. You will cause autonomic responses to develop in your subconscious mind that give you negative responses to the foods that you now know are bad for you. You know, it's kind of like putting on the white t-shirt when you smoke. You couldn't see it before, but whenever you put it in front of you and you actually see what you're doing to yourself, then all of a sudden it becomes clear. If
Okay,
you
we
knew
got a
what a soda
phone.
does to you,
Hang on one
most
second.
people, huh?
1 sec.
Into yourself, then all of a sudden it becomes
Thank you for
clear.
calling Della's Voice. You're on the air. Can you hold on 1 second, please?
Yes.
Actually, I'm going to ask you to please mute the show if you're watching it so that we don't get feedback. Actually, I'm going to ask you to please mute the show if you're watching it. Hello?
Yes.
Okay. All righty. That's good. Now go ahead and thanks for calling the show. You want to introduce yourself?
Oh, yeah. My name is Joshua Colella, and I just wanted to ask Tucker, as far as your, I mean, your outlook is really amazing. I've done a lot of research on grounding, earthing. My family, we make a habit to earth and ground minimum of an hour a day. We sleep grounded. We're a very big advocate. So I think the fact that you're raising awareness to this. So what I want to tell you is that what you're saying is so true, because we have my wife is an Aspie. I understand what you're saying about how when it comes to her brain functioning at such a high level, it's kind of crazy. But by grounding, it really does allow her to just kind of bring it down, like, I don't know, 10 notches. It just allows her to sleep. Being able to be grounded has really changed her sleeping pattern, and it's pretty amazing. And our children, obviously, have really benefited from it as well. And we've done a ton of research, with the ability to ground our bodies and what it's been able to do for our family. So it's just really awesome to have someone like yourself that's finally out here, kind of putting the two and two together, from the autistic, spectrum, into the grounding. So that's really powerful. I also want to say that the food, that we, take in is so key. All of our children are vegan. They do not, they've never, ate meat. They don't know anything about it. It definitely has made a big improvement, as far as their health. So I just want to say, man, both of you guys, it's been so awesome watching you guys, have this conversation. This has been one of the very most powerful shows I've seen in a long time. So I want to thank both of you.
Well, thank you, Joshua. I appreciate it. Tucker?
Thank you so much for being here, brother.
There's a little bit of delay, I think.
Yeah.
Yep. What's up? Sorry.
No, that's good. That's good.
I said thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for calling the show, Joshua.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. So yeah, so that's great.
That's awesome.
That's great to hear that someone's having they're seeing benefits from this technique. That's amazing. So you
The science is mind blowing. There is a
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's okay, Tucker. There's a little.
All I was going to say is there's a documentary on YouTube. There is a delay, but all I was going to say is there's a documentary on YouTube. It's basically, if you want, I don't remember what it's called, but look up grounding, earthing documentary on YouTube, and it's the longest video. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you want to
And
find
and
it.
so when we talk about staying grounded, the true power of presence, um, I think I just want us to come back full circle to this, that, like you said in the beginning of the show, anxiety is because we think about the future that hasn't happened and most probably won't happen. And that's what makes us anxious. And depression is thinking about what's happened in the past. And the only true power, the only really healthy place to stay is in the present moment. And so using grounding as a technique is really to bring us to that true power of the present. And I think that's what everybody is trying to get to, right? What do you think?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And that may confuse some people because they say, well, what does being physically grounded have to do with being in the present? And theoretically speaking, nothing. But when you combine the two, it's life changing. So living in the moment is where bliss happens. You know, if let me ask you a silly question. If I were to if you and I were walking down across a bridge over a creek, and I pushed you off of the bridge while you're falling to the creek, are you going to be thinking about your taxes?
Not a chance.
Realistically, no. Will you be thinking about the arguments you had yesterday or the day before?
No.
Will you be thinking about anything negative that could happen tomorrow?
No.
What will you be thinking about in the moment you're falling to the water?
Um, yeah, how am I gonna no, like that's it. I'm falling. I'm
Not even
falling.
that.
No, yeah,
Nothing.
yeah, I'm falling.
Exactly. You won't be thinking of anything, and you'll be thinking of nothing, and you even have a word for it. It's ah. uh, 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 in that moment, that's where you are.
Yeah.
And when you finally figure out how to come back to that, everything else goes away. You won't suffer from depression, but it's kind of like being bored. People say, oh, I get bored. Boredom is a lack of appreciation for life itself. There are no ordinary moments
Oh, I
in
love
this world.
that. I love
There
that.
is
Let's say
always
that
something.
again.
There are no ordinary moments in this world. There's always something spectacular going on, but it's up to you to notice it. You know, but that's really that is presence. You know, we oftentimes look for happiness at the end of some kind of a journey, but it comes along the way. Happiness comes from the journey, not the destination. I don't know
Mhm.
who said that, but it was a great quote.
It was good.
It really is.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, that's present. Being in the present, being in the now, because there's nowhere else for you to be. As you can see, you get punished for being anywhere else mentally. If you're in the future, you get anxiety. You try to go to the past, you get depression. But you come back to the now, and all of a sudden, we're all happy.
It's very true. It's very true. In the darkest moments of your life, Tucker, the darkest moments of your life, what was the greatest wish you ever had?
That somebody that had an answer, I guess. Because I at one point I was homeless, and it wasn't the darkest time in my life, but it was pretty dark. And I was staying under a bridge for a little while, and At one point, I woke up and I washed my face in the creek, and I looked up and I thought, why live in $100,000 house when you can live under a $10 million bridge? Like, just trying to make myself feel better.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have given anything in the world for somebody, anybody, to come along, put their hand on my shoulder and say, let me show you something, brother. Like, it's going to be okay. And if that's why I do what I do. That's why I share my messages with the world. Because there are people out there right now, maybe people that are watching, maybe people that'll never see this. They need someone to put a hand on their shoulder and show them the way. Because they're lost. And there's nothing more terrifying in this world than being lost. And in today's time, we need people to put a hand out more than ever. And that's what I would have done. That's the wish that I would have made. Is that somebody, anybody, would have been there and said, brother, you're not alone. And that's why we're here. That's why we do what we do.
Yeah.
Because some people need a hand on their shoulder and they need someone to show them the way. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. Thank you. Tucker, you're working towards being on TEDx. I mean, that was a big dream of yours, right? I mean, you you wanted to be on TEDx to share your story. And it'll happen because I can see that day so clearly. And I know you're going to be brilliant. If imagine right now you were on that stage and there's thousands of people watching, and you have 1 minute on that stage. What do you want people to take away from Tucker?
If you can go out and be the spark that lights the way through the darkness for even one person a day in any shape, form, or way, it won't matter if you don't get rich in the process or your name isn't remembered throughout history. Your entire life will have been worthwhile. We're not alone in this world, but we oftentimes believe we are. And I think that's what I would want to deliver to people, is the importance of presence and understanding that your story matters. You touch people along your path here. We're not here for long, but while we're here, we leave wakes in the pond of life. And they reach the furthest shores, whether we get to see them or not. And that's what I think I would tell people. I was invited to speak at TEDx, and due to the COVID stuff happening, they shut it down.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it, really. We don't have to suffer. Like, suffering's part of growing. But
sure is.
If you want to change things in your world, just go be the blessing for somebody else.
That's it. That's it. I have a viewer here who just bought a super sticker. Thank you so much, Fan, for your generosity, always supporting the show. Thank you so much. She also says, one person a day sounds great. One person a day. If all of us could do that, one person a day. Um, Tucker, what do you want people to remember you by? Like once you're gone, what do you want? What do you want people to say about you? Who was Tucker?
Man, he spent his time well, and he lived a life worth living. And the impact that he made will reach the furthest shores. I I just hope that during my time here, however short or long that may be, that I can touch the lives of enough people to create generational change, to make an impact on someone's life that is so powerful that maybe they don't even remember my name, because that's not what's important. But they pass it down to their children and their children's children. And that for generations to come, that little speck of time in the grand scheme of it all caused a path to shift and a new horizon to be witnessed.
You have a way with words, my friend.
Thank you.
You do. And on that note, you have a book, and it's called The Plate That Broke the World: One Man's Journey into the Ego. Um, you can buy this on Amazon. It was an Amazon bestseller. This is Tucker's book. You can purchase that and read his story. And I mean, what can I say? You're so young, Tucker, and you've already done so much, and you've already touched so many lives. And your story is one of really hope. And that's the only way I can describe it. And hope is the biggest give we can give one another. And I always say this because I think it's the greatest abbreviation of all times. Hope stands for hang on, pain ends. And
That's beautiful.
thank you. I didn't say it. Someone said it, and I pass it. I pass it down. You can use it anytime, my friend. um,
Wonderful. I will
yeah.
definitely do that.
Awesome. Awesome. I want to say thank you to every single one of our viewers. And I want to thank you all for being along on this journey with Della's voice and helping to spread the word and helping to spread the message of hope. Um, because I can't imagine life without hope. I can because I lived it, but I don't want anyone else to live that life of hopelessness because it's not a great place to be. And the whole premise of Della's voice is inform, inspire, and motivate for wellness, recovery, and change, which ultimately creates a ripple effect all over. And so I want to thank you, Tucker, because with people like you who have lived their lives of struggle and adversity, and a lot of us can't imagine living that life, but you've lived it so brilliantly, and you've turned it into this story of really miracle, and you just keep shining your light, my friend. um, I mean, I can't thank you enough for being on here and sharing your story. It's so powerful. You're such a powerful speaker, and I'm so blessed to have met you and have had you on this show. And wish you the very best in your adventures, my friend.
Thank you so very much for having me here. It truly has been one of, if not the best interview I've ever had.
Woo!
I'm very thankful. You do a wonderful, amazing job.
Thank
Um, I must compliment the letting people call in. More people on Facebook. If y'all are listening, need to take notes. Okay. Because Miss Della got the game on lock. All right.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank
So again, thank you so much for having me. I hope that in some small way we were able to touch somebody's life today. And if you're watching this live, thank you so much for being here. If you're watching this on the replay, thank you so much for coming through. Y'all are all able to reach out to me. You can reach out to me through my email. You can reach out to me through Facebook or whatever. I did drop a link down in the comments.
Thank
So
you.
it is, if you are looking for grounding equipment that is quality and you really, really, really want like people that will be on, that'll be there to serve you and help you and teach you, I dropped links down in the comments for people to get grounding equipment. So
Amazing.
there's that.
Thank you.
But again, thank you so much. This has
You're
been
so
amazing.
welcome. You're so welcome. It's been my pleasure and a delight to have you on the show. And for everyone else who've been watching us, thank you again for spending your afternoon with us. Enjoy this holiday weekend and be blessed. Stay blessed and in the moment, present. Give yourself that present.
Musa Kimosabi, come back to now.
Yes, come back to now. Come back to now. Until next time, this was Della's voice, hoping to spark your soul. Take care, everybody. Della's voice is brought to you by Tucker Bearden.